Hey YouTube, y'all will not believe I was just such in a bad mood over this episode. But shout out to Ray So Raw. I just saw your message and I don't know why it took me so long to check out your page. But this woman is so dope. She has really good music on her page. You guys have to go check her out. And I'm just so happy. A lot of my subscribers are actually really cool. Y'all post amazing content, which I just want to highlight. So I can't wait until my 50 subscriber special because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take the time out and shout you guys out. But like I said, I want to dedicate this episode to Ray So Raw because I originally wasn't going to cover it because it's so triggering and I know a lot of people are emotionally disturbed by this episode. But if you guys have been watching me cover Baddies East this whole time, you already know what I'm going to say. So no more talking, we're just going to get into it. If you like, there are chapters in the description so you can skip over to the smiley part, which I know that you guys are all here for. I'm still going to cover this episode in its entirety like I always do. So let's get into it. Episode 16 starts off with the girls already in Jamaica. We didn't get any footage of them flying. No PJ, unfortunately. If I had to guess, the girls probably didn't take PJs. It also doesn't seem like they all took the same flight together, and some probably flew Spirit. Nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Spirit. I am from Florida. But what stuck out to me was this one line that Sky said, like later in the episode when she's FaceTiming with Natalie, not at this moment, but she did say little mishaps happened on the flight. She didn't go into details, but if I had to guess, I'm sure it's Lemmy's fault. Okay, so we're in Jamaica. There's two separate houses again. House A has this gorgeous house. It looks like three houses in one. And the girls are inside. They're talking about what happened in New York. Here we get hypocritical Rolly saying that she doesn't like that Biggie picked up the chair to throw at Scarface when Scarface was coming at her. But Rolly has been throwing things at Biggie for 2 episodes straight now. So I could care less about what her feelings are. Then Natalie also mentions that the girls had actually gotten kicked out of Ricardo's. And it's just like, Natalie, why are you always lying? You guys always get kicked out of something, allegedly. When you know it's not true. It's because Lemmy can't excuse me, Lemmy can't get his shit together. Next, according to Sapphire, Rolly isn't the type of person to just go off on somebody for no reason, which Sapphire, you just met this girl. It's obvious that you haven't watched the previous seasons either. So I would relax on saying statements like that because now you just kind of look like you just kissing ass to secure your spot for next season, which I'm all down for. Like Sapphire doesn't really bother me, but it's just a lot of following and a lot of ass kissing. Now, she also says that Smiley and Biggie need to take accountability. And I think that Sapphire is giving Scarface too much credit by saying that that is what is frustrating Scarface because Scarface just wants to fight. I don't really think that she cares about correcting Smiley and Biggie's behavior and trying to make them better people or better women. And Scarface lets us know that she feels like Suki is being two-faced, which I don't think Suki is being two-faced. I feel like she obviously likes Smiley and Biggie more than you guys. But for the show, unfortunately, she was grouped up with your house. So she has no choice to hang out with you guys. But really, she favors Biggie and Smiley more. And then Rolly's basically saying that she wants Suki to be more neutral, pretending like she doesn't want Suki to be on anybody's side. But she knows damn well that she wants Suki to be on her side. And I think that is why they're going to get into it next episode. But I will talk more about that when I get to the previews. Jumping to House B, I like the house. I like the house. I like that there's solar panels on top. I like me a good eco-friendly house. I just wish it was a little prettier to look at. In the house, Anna apologizes to Smiley for trying to fight her back in New York City. I thought she had threatened to shoot your father, according to Anna on her live. That's why she said that or one of the reasons why she went off on Smiley the way she did. So I don't really know why she's apologizing to Smiley right now. It seems like maybe she's just in really good spirits that she's on vacation and in Jamaica, but that is a little weird to me. Biggie also tells Smiley that she keeps letting people disrespect her, which I think Biggie can kind of take her own advice here because she let Natalie scream in her face. So basically everybody's getting disrespected and just letting it happen over there in House B. Skipping over to when the girls are making their way to the strip in Ocho Rios in Jamaica. Sapphire lets us know that she and T went to the airport together. They had the same flight But as soon as they got there, T had a family emergency and she had to leave. So I really don't understand why people went over to T's page and even accused her of lying, because Sapphire don't even hang out with T like that. They don't even be in the same house for Sapphire to just make up that lie. I think as of yesterday, T already made a video speaking about her mom and the situation. So apparently T's mom did have a stroke. And if you follow T, you know that she talks about her mom a lot and she's pretty open about her mom's substance abuse history. So that is what I had originally thought when I first saw this episode. But if you guys don't already know, cardiovascular diseases are the #1 killer here in America. So either way, I still believe T. And that's just very unfortunate because her mom still looks pretty young. Now over at the House B bus, this is where things start to get interesting. We get this small clip that I know the editor made a point to include, which is where Smiley is saying that she's gonna get drunk, which is a harmless thing to say within itself. It's not uncommon for people to say, well, I want to get drunk or I want to get fucked up. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Good for her. She's trying to have fun. And Smiley is drinking pretty aggressively. We even get this B-roll shot of Biggie pouring down the Hennessy in Smiley's mouth, and this B-roll shot of Smiley pouring some more Hennessy into a red Solo cup, which Sky keeps calling it a shot, but last time I checked, a shot was those little tiny glasses. And here Smiley is filling up the cup halfway through, damn near. This don't look like no shot to me. And I really hate this narrative that Sky, I really wish that Sky didn't say Smiley only took 4 shots, because even after the girls got off the bus, I kept trying to look for the Hennessy bottle to see how much was left over, but it didn't appear anymore. So it could just be the girls finished the whole bottle and threw it away, or somebody's hiding it somewhere. But I promise you, if you go back and you look at the episode, you will not see that Hennessy bottle anymore after the girls get off the bus. Next, we get the moment where Tasiki is dragging Smiley across the bus and nearly falls on everybody else. Now, I don't know why Tasiki is dragging Smiley like that, and obviously you cannot lift up Smiley, so I don't know what her point was with this. And we also get Anna saying that Smiley was fine until the girls pulled up to the parking lot, and that's when she started acting strange. And shout out to Anna, because she has been supplying us with camera footage that Zeus refuses to give us. So I feel like if you guys are not going to bring her back for season 5, at least bring her back as a cameraman, because in the footage that Animac leaked, so we have Sky saying that Smiley has never been drunk around the girls. Smiley also hasn't eaten. But then we find out from Vanessa. So Vanessa is the female security guard. Remember when I brought her up in the beginning of this series? I like when she is in the camera because her face is very expressive. So I usually get a lot of information just by looking at her. But in Animax videos, she tells us that no, Smiley had actually eaten a cheeseburger. So now I'm just kind of looking at Sky. Not that she's lying on purpose, but I just don't think that she is the most reliable narrator, because she's not necessarily noticing everything that Smiley is doing. But ultimately, it is her word that everybody on crew is running with, because when it comes to all the other girls that are on the bus with Smiley, they can care less about that girl. They're like yelling at her while trying to help her at the same time. And I find it really odd that Smiley is like completely silent here. She's not saying anything. She's not responding to anybody yelling at her or trying to talk to her. In fact, we don't hear her speak until the security guards get on the bus and try to help her out. That is when she starts saying, "Where's my son?" So Automac recorded everything, but apparently through my research, I did find out that alcohol enters your bloodstream as soon as you take your first sip. So it doesn't really have to take that long for the effects of alcohol to kick in. Of course, there's many factors that determines how long it's going to take, and it could be anything from what you've eaten or your size or just your general tolerance for alcohol. So I'm gonna need Anna to tell us how long the bus ride was, because that would help us understand a little bit more what's going on. I do want to bring to your attention though, when Tasiki and Camila try to get Smiley up, if you notice, Smiley here is lifting herself up, but then when she gets up enough to where she knows that if she falls back, she's gonna land on the seat, that is when she falls back. So that's already a little suspicious to me. So meanwhile, Anna is showing the girls all the footage that she has recorded. Sky goes to check on Smiley and ends up basically like mushing her in the face when Smiley starts making noises as if she's about to throw up. This clip was so funny because I don't know why Sky decided to rush in the bus as opposed to just because she was already out the bus, so she could have just either walked left or right. But she rushes in the bus and ends up pushing the security guard on the left away from holding Smiley. So Smiley almost falls out, and the security guard is just going off on Sky because she didn't have to push him like that. And just for comparison, you can see that the second time Smiley tries to throw up, unlike Sky, Scotty and Natalie are there and they move to their sides to get out of Smiley's way. And here I just also want to point out that it just seems like Smiley keeps saying, I want my son every time somebody new walks up to the bus. So she keeps making these noises that she's about to throw up. And really quick, I'm going to show you Smiley's throw up. You might want to look away because this is pretty. Oh wait, I don't see any throw up actually. Now I know that she throws up much later once she gets to the clinic, but bear with me, we're going to get there. Now here security is trying to give her water, and I just want you to guys to pay attention to her neck while security is giving her water. You don't see any swallowing in her throat. She's actually just using the water and leaving it in her mouth and just letting it like drip to make it look like she is throwing up. But it's just that long string of drool that you can find on almost any baby, and that basically happens because babies don't close their mouths. Then Sky also lets us know that Smiley hasn't been on her medication. Now that seems purposefully that she's not taking her medication, because why would you all of a sudden just stop and then just start drinking? And then I was also wondering, like, what is the medication that she stopped taking? Is this the alleged medication that she was on after? Remember, she left the hospital, they called her to get her medication. So she went back to the hospital to get her medication after her miscarriage. And then other people are kind of speculating that maybe it's not her medication, but it's her medication. Mariah did go on Twitter, I believe it was, and say somebody told her Smiley took some perks. And if you remember, Smiley did admit to being addicted once in the episode where the girls were confronting her about her miscarriage. So it's a lot of hearsay from Mariah because obviously she didn't witness Smiley do those things, but it can be true. So there is a possibility that Smiley was mixing her medication with alcohol purposefully. Again, I have to emphasize purposefully. She's doing this on purpose. Going back to our narrator, Sky, she is telling Scotty that this is not what alcohol poisoning looks like, so she doesn't think Smiley has alcohol poisoning. If you look up the symptoms for alcohol poisoning, you're going to see that it includes confusion, vomiting, seizure, slow breathing, breathing that's not regular, skin that looks blue, gray or pale, low body temperature, and trouble staying conscious or awake. And at this point, we don't see Smiley exhibiting any of the symptoms, so I think we can put this on the back burner. The next thing I want to draw you guys' attention to is when Smiley conveniently lays her head on camera guy's kneecap when she falls, because you see the cameraman try to get away and give her space, and you can see her looking at camera guy's kneecap while she is trying to make sure that she lands on it. And then just so conveniently, the next time we cut to Smiley, her head is resting right on the seat perfectly in the middle of her forehead. So already there's just a lot of perfect landings every time Smiley like is falling forward, if she knows nobody is going to catch her, because I feel like the other times that she has fallen forward is because she knew that somebody was going to catch her. So finally, this woman producer is asking Smiley her son's name, because up to this point, Smiley has just been calling out for her son, her son, her son. Of course, Smiley doesn't answer back, so we don't know her son's name. She's never said it on the show prior to this either. So for me, I just find it really weird that Smiley keeps saying, "Where's my son?" as opposed to just saying, let's say for example, her son's name is Billy, like, where's Billy? Or just Billy, just calling out for Billy, because instead of just letting people wonder who Billy would be, it's like Smiley's saying my son to make sure that everybody knows that she's asking for her son, just to get like more sympathy from people. So I feel like Smiley is very coherent here. She knows exactly what she's saying and what she's doing, because the only time that she speaks is to say, where is my son? Like, it's just weird that we don't get any other slurring of words or any other sentences that she tries to formulate if she was really in a state of some kind of delirium or distress. Moving on to my next point, we have this guy here checking on Smiley's pupils, and clearly he doesn't have any kind of medical training because there's no tag on him or uniform to identify him as a medic. Now he is wearing all black, so if I had to guess, he is part of the production crew. He's also wearing some gloves here, and he had a flashlight in hand all ready to go. So that tells me that he's either one of two people. He's either the lighting guy or he's the sound guy. Now, those of you who don't know me in real life, I am a sound guy, as people would say, for productions. So this is just normally some of the tools and accessories that we bring with us on the job. So maybe he might be CPR certified, and that's probably why they told him to go check on Smiley. But the pupils thing, he doesn't know what he's talking about, because if you've ever been to an eye doctor, now if I have any fellow blind people watching this video, you know that when you go to the eye doctor and they flash you with that light to look in your eyes, before they do that, they have to hit you with little eye drops to make sure that your pupils dilate, because otherwise, when you flash light into somebody's eye and they look right at it, the pupils actually contract, or we're going to use constrict like they do in this photo. So that is what the eye drops are for. Now, if you go to a more modern doctor, they don't really do the eye drops anymore. They do like that little puff of smoke. When you sit in the machine, they'll hit you with a little smoke in both your eyes. And then that's where they take their pictures while they have you look at like a hot air balloon or like some green pasture. And they tell you to look in the light. And I tried my best to capture the stills and the moments where he was looking in her eyes. It seems like she is responding normally to them. I don't think her pupils are dilated. She's looking right at the light. And there's one moment, it's very, very brief, but I will slow it down, where the guy is not even looking at her left eye, but it's open when he's trying to look at the right eye. If I got my left and right correctly. So again, it's not his fault, but here we have another unreliable narrator that people seem to be taking his word and like running with it, even though him and I are just as about equally qualified to diagnose Smiley right now. Now, Smiley has her first seizure on the bus, and I'm just really impressed how she manages to stay on the bus seat every time that she has a seizure, and that her breathing is very normal and she's not out of breath like somebody who had just had a seizure would have. Now, not every seizure is the same, and seizures can have many, many triggers. We're going to look at some of the general causes of seizures. So here we have stroke, cancer, brain tumors, head injuries, electrolyte imbalance, very low blood sugar, repeating sounds or flashing lights, some medications, withdrawal or overdose from medications, narcotics, brain infections, high fever, COVID, interesting, and so on, so on. And apparently there's different stages of seizures. Apparently there's a warning stage that can happen like up to days before you have a seizure. There's the middle stage where you're actually having the seizure, and then the ending phase. If you want to learn more, you can look it up. And also, people who have seizures repeatedly are epileptic, which there are some medications that can help with that. So going back to the medication that Smiley allegedly stopped taking, we have to start asking, does Smiley have epilepsy, and was the medication that she stopped taking for her epilepsy? Next, the first time we hear Smiley say, I hate my life, was when she was outside on the wheelchair, and I still find it very strange that the only things that she has been able to communicate is, where's my son and I hate my life. The timing here is also right when she has more of a bigger audience, and even Natalie here, who was yelling at her before, is kind of getting some sympathy and holding her hand. So now we get to the part where Smiley actually throws up, and I'm not going to show the picture, so don't worry. This time she's in the clinic, and once she's inside, she starts crying, screaming, she's like snoring for a little bit, and this is stuff that she wasn't doing before. Before she got her audience in the clinic, there was no video of her doing this before. Is another instance where like the timing is just too perfect, because we're already like 30 minutes into this episode And in real life, it must have been much longer than 30 minutes to get her into the clinic. So she's really hyping it up here. And this is really annoying to me because in the waiting room, you can see like there's kids waiting and there's people waiting to actually be seen for their actual ailments. And then here's Smiley just putting on a show and taking up their time. When it comes to the vomiting, it's actually really not that hard to make yourself throw up. I can give you a couple of ways. The most obvious is that you can stick your finger down your throat. I think Tasiki had accused Smiley of doing this, but we don't see it on camera, so we can't really take her word for it. You can also gargle some salt water. Now, personally, my doctor tells me to gargle salt water for my throat issues, but I don't do it because it actually does make me want to gag and throw up. So I know this one for sure gets me all the time. Number 3, you can induce motion sickness by spinning to make yourself nauseous and want to throw up. You can also just think of something disgusting, or even sometimes seeing other people throw up will make you want to throw up, for example. Or like I said before, and even some people online think that Smiley might have taken something prior to drinking the alcohol. So just so that she could make herself throw up. Now, I bet you're wondering, who is this man in uniform with a badge? Just like I was. So I ended up looking up what his shirt says, and it led me to this Ukraine-based company that sells tactical gear and clothing. So the company is called MTAC, and this man right here is wearing the MTAC Polo Elite Tactical Cool Max. And if you look in the description for the shirt, it says the polo shirts have become widely used as uniform, and the MTAC company has released its own version, which is most adapted for use in law enforcement agencies. And if you scroll down here, you have some reviews from police officers. So basically, if I had to guess, this man is a police officer or some kind of law enforcement. And you can tell just by the way that he's able to walk into this clinic and demand Smiley to be seen ahead of everybody else who's waiting. And side note, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I just find it funny that security guard has just a giant QR code on the side of his shirt. Like, you're just supposed to walk up to him and scan his QR code. So in this next still, we have the producer woman that was with Smiley on the bus and Lemmy, who's wearing the white shirt and the jeans, basically talking about that they don't have her medical history. I think it's pretty obvious that you guys don't check for medical history or do psych evals or background checks on the girls just based off some of the casting choices that you have made. But thank you for confirming what we already knew. And then we have the doctor checking Smiley's blood pressure. I hesitate a little bit calling him a doctor because normally when you go, speaking for how we do things here in the States, I don't know how it is over there in Jamaica, but when you go to the doctor or when you go to a hospital, it's usually the nurse tech that checks your vitals. I hope I got that right. I hope their name is the nurse tech. I know they have like a specific name, but these are the people that spend more time with you than the actual doctor. They check your vitals, they take your height, they ask you the preliminary questions before the doctor comes in and give you a consultation. But we can give this man some grace, and let's say he is the doctor. The only thing that he does check is her blood pressure that we see. And if I heard correctly, because Smiley was too busy screaming, um, her blood pressure came out to be 127, which is a little elevated, but it's not quite high blood pressure or hypertension yet. There are plenty of risk factors when it comes to having elevated blood pressure. So, for example, obesity or being overweight, family history of high blood pressure, not being physically active, diet high in salt or low in potassium, tobacco use, drinking too much alcohol, and so on, so on, which Smiley could easily check off 2 or 3, maybe even 4 of these risk factors. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but that is a pretty hefty girl, and we did see her drink, so yeah. Now, Tasiki was catching a lot of flack because she was like the most vocal one about Smiley faking it. She does say that it wasn't even 3 shots. Basically, what I said to Sky is what I'm saying to Tasiki, like, you guys we're not watching her. You don't know how much she drank. So I don't want to believe anybody when they say she's only had this much to drink. But Tasiki does also say that somebody was trying to fight her and that's why she started acting drunk, which I wouldn't be surprised if that somebody was Tasiki herself, because Tasiki has been getting really mean with Smiley. After, remember, she used to share a room with this girl and they were like buddies until Suki and Sapphire came in the house, so we're just gonna have to wait and see for this Sunday's episode, just to give more context, because I think she said she might have been trying to slap Smiley. So, in conclusion, whether or not you believe Smiley faked it or she actually had a seizure, either way, we didn't need to see this. And I didn't need Smiley on my screen for 40 minutes straight. So I hope that Zeus Network will learn from this and not show us this ever again, even though I know in the next episode we still have to continue off from Smiley finally getting taken to a hospital, because up to this point she still hasn't really been evaluated like that. Now we do have to address some counter arguments. So number one, people keep saying that if Smiley is faking it, then she needs an Oscar. And I agree with you guys. Absolutely. Give her an Oscar, and also give Scarface an Oscar for being mad at something that she knows didn't happen. Like, these women just, I don't know if it's production telling them to do it or if they're just doing it on their own, but these women will just make something out of nothing and they will play their part until the wheels fall off. Another thing that I see a lot of people say is that what's the motive? Why would Smiley even do something like this? Well, at first I thought it was just like Smiley just being a compulsive liar, because she would just lie about little things, lying about the Natalie tattoo, lying about melting Mariah Lynch's chain down to make a ring for her son. Just like little lies that didn't really hurt anybody. And I just knew, like, when I first saw Smiley, you guys can go back and watch my videos. I just knew that there was just something off about this lady. I didn't know what it was at the time before we got to know her, but then it just became more and more evident that, okay, she's a scammer, she's a con artist, she's a liar, like she just does things for attention. But now when I keep thinking about the fake miscarriage, I already broke it down. You can go watch that video. And even this clip, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I didn't save it because I didn't think much of it at the time, but there is a clip. Somebody found a clip on Reddit of Smiley. I think she was on some show. I don't remember exactly what the show was, but she was basically lying about being addicted to plastic surgery. And she was using a Spanish accent at the time, but you can clearly tell that is Smiley. And now to just add the fact that she just faked this seizure, I really think that there's something, like, even though I am not a psychiatrist or a doctor or nothing, she clearly has some mental issues, and I can't diagnose anybody, but I really think that she suffers from Munchausen. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because Gypsy Rose's mother, this is what she had. And of course, Gypsy Rose was the woman that was let out of jail last week for killing her mother, who had this disorder that just made her abuse Gypsy and pretend that Gypsy had all of these diseases and illnesses, basically for sympathy and attention. Now, Gypsy Rose's mother had Munchausen by proxy, meaning that she was pretending her daughter was the one with the illnesses. But Munchausen itself, also known as fictitious disorder, is a rare type of mental disorder in which a person fakes illness. The person may lie about symptoms, make themselves appear sick, or make themselves purposely unwell. And even if you do believe that Smiley's seizures were real, at the end of the day, you do have to acknowledge that she purposefully stopped taking her medication, drank all that alcohol aggressively, and may or may not have took some extra pills. Now, clearly, I feel like the fact that she performed this role so well must mean that she has done this before. And like you also have heard me say about Smiley before, is that there is no cure for people like Smiley. Now, Munchausen is a behavioral issue, not really a disability, meaning that Smiley, she can still function, she can still have a regular life, she can still go out to the clubs, make friends, have kids, and it won't really show up until you start noticing her actions and realize that there is a pattern here, which is when Smiley feels like she's getting too much heat from other people as a result of what she did to somebody and doesn't want the backlash, that is when she's going to have some kind of medical issue to take the heat off of her. And I don't know why Smiley gets so much grace, because if she could literally like threaten to hurt other people's family members, like she's done to Mariah and Anna Mac. And even her song that I just heard, she has a song basically wishing a heart attack on Mariah and wishing her death. And it's like cricket, somebody's really talking about it. But when it comes to how the girls react to all the little things that she's doing behind the scenes, they get so much hate for it, which is like we should be hating everybody equally, you know. And also, shout out to Hampton Spears for posting that clip of Smiley's live and pointing out that there's no real tears coming down her face that she pretends to wipe off. There's also a man on her live who basically said that he has a lot of seizures and he believes that Smiley is faking it. But if Smiley is faking it, that is between her and God. And that's basically how I feel about the situation. Also, Hampton points out that on Smiley's Instagram, she posted the clip of her having the seizures. So it's like she's kind of relishing in her trauma and posting it for the whole world to see. That's a little strange. Now, in the previews, we get Natalie confronting Smiley because, of course, production ended up taking Smiley to the hospital, and production says that when Smiley got there, she miraculously, all of a sudden was just better. And here, Smiley is making that same exact face that she made when Rolly confronted her about faking her miscarriage. So basically, every time you confront Smiley about lying, she just acts so confused, like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I wasn't even aware of blah 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 blah. Like she does that every time. Next we have Scarface pouring water on Smiley, which Scarface just loves throwing water at people, but nevertheless you can see Suki in the foreground saying y'all bitches is weird. I think that she is talking about E.T. here and not Smiley, which is probably what leads up to the fight between her and Rolly, because you know Rolly and Scarface don't play about each other. So if you come for one of them, you're coming for both of them, basically. So looking at the background in this preview, you see my girl Vanessa. I think that is the guy who was trying to help Smiley in the bus with the flashlight next to Vanessa. And then in between them two, you see Janisha in the back, and she's just rethinking her life decisions. Like, why did I ever have to meet little Lemonhead and bear the responsibilities of this ratchet ass network while he cheats on me? Allegedly. Okay. So that is it. Yeah. Take care of yourself. See you next episode. Bye.